Welcome to the Big Book Roundtable and the RICO 12 family of recovery resources. I'm grateful to be sitting around this virtual roundtable with two of my favorite people, Nikki M. and David G. today. What we do in this meeting is we go line by line through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and do a deep dive into it. But let me introduce myself real quick. I'm Justin B. I am the son of an all-powerful, perfectly loving God and a recovering addict, living in the miracle of one day at a time recovery. What a miracle that is. I'll have Nikki and David introduce themselves also today. Nikki, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Nikki M, and I'm with two of my favorite people. I'm a proud member of many, many fellowships, and I'm just grateful, really. David shared a miracle with us before we started recording, so I'm like high on God dope, so I might be a little funky this episode.
Awesome. David, why don't you come off mute and share with us, introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. I am David G. I'm an alcoholic addict of many sorts. I've been blessed with the gift of recovery since August of 94. And I'm with two of my favorite people in the world as well. Justin, just your services, it's just unmatched. And yours as well, Nikki. I love being here. Love what we do. Lots of people are reaching out. They're looking for the solution. And we're gathering them up, Nikki on the women's side, me on the men's side, taking them through the big book and helping them find freedom. So this is definitely a blessing, RICO 12. If you're not a member or a regular listener, if you live too far away to hear RICO 12, move. Thanks.
Love it. Love it. And I love that, these resources that I feel my higher power has put in my life to do and share with you out there in the listening audience are available all over the place in recorded format, whether you listen live to the speaker meetings that go on or you listen to them recorded. What a beautiful thing. On that note, made this announcement in a previous recording on Noodle It Out with Nikki, one of the other things we have. Just this last week, the Zoom and podcast platform, all of those things renewed. And I'm so grateful for donations that have come in that have covered that. But that's depleted our accounts and looking forward to this next year. So if there's anybody out there, your higher power is poking at you and saying, hey, chip off a few dollars to RICO 12, please consider doing so. The links to that are in the show notes of the podcast. All right, let's jump into what we do. I already mentioned we go line by line through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We use the 4th edition, and we are continuing in the chapter Working with Others. That's chapter 7, and we are on page 96, and we're starting with the paragraph that is, suppose now you are making your second visit, right in the middle of the page, and we'll be reading through page 7, which in the paragraph that ends with occasionally you will have to meet such conditions. Grab your big book, grab a highlighter, pen, notes. Let's get into action in this work, and I'll begin reading. Suppose now you are making your second visit to a man. He has read this volume and says he is prepared to go through with the 12 steps of the program of recovery. Having had the experience yourself, you can give him much practical advice. Let him know you are available if he wishes to make a decision and tell his story, but do not insist upon it if he prefers to consult someone else. He may be broke and homeless. If he is, you might try to help him about getting a job or give him a little financial assistance, but you should not deprive your family or creditors of money they should have. Perhaps you will want to take the man into your home for a few days, but be sure you use discretion. Be certain he will be welcomed by your family and that he is not trying to impose upon you for money, connections, or shelter. Permit that and you only harm him. You will be making it possible for him to be insincere. You may be aiding in his destruction rather than his recovery. Never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you are doing the right thing if you assume them. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. You have to act the Good Samaritan every day, if need be. It may mean the loss of many nights' sleep, great interference with your pleasures, interruptions of your business. It may mean sharing your money and your home, counseling frantic wives and relatives, innumerable trips to police courts, sanitariums, hospitals, jails, and asylums. Your telephone may jangle at any time of the day or night. Your wife may sometimes say she is neglected. A drunk may smash the furniture in your home or burn a mattress. You may have to fight with him if he is violent. Sometimes you'll have to call a doctor and administer sedatives under his direction. Another time you may have to send for the police or an ambulance. Occasionally, you will have to meet such conditions. All right. Let's jump into this. Nikki, why don't you lead us off? What are some of the things from this reading? Go through this reading and tell us some of your experience, strength, and hope.
I know we're all just like, wow, that's heavy stuff that you were reading. I felt the pause, the heavy pause after that, because I'm going to say something. This is all facts. All of the stuff that you just read, I've experienced and I know. So let's start here. Suppose I'm making my second visit. He has read the volume. So he's armed a little bit with the facts, or she's armed with the facts and is prepared to go through the 12 steps. And this is a program. I love that word. I keep telling everybody, Google these words. It's a set of instructions with a particular aim, an outcome. And that's what we're doing here. We are getting a new program of recovery. And it comes with a 12-step book. It comes with a fellowship, and it comes with a power that's infinite and loving. And it says, having had the experience yourself, you can give him much practical advice. And recently, I listened to our, when we got our episodes released on a Thursday, I'll listen to it. And I think David at one point, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it said, like, if you're not an alcoholic, you haven't had the alcoholic experience. And I'm not an alcoholic, yet I sponsor alcoholics because we both suffer the disease of self. Now, my sponsor is a bourbon smashing, needle poking cocaine addict, and I'm a hardcore penis snatching, paycheck worshiping addict. And we suffer the same, and we've lost the same. So even though I haven't maybe had the same experience as my sponsee who's a gambler, and he hasn't had the same experience as me, we have suffered the same and lost the same in the disease of addiction. And I can't wait to hear how David's going to explain that. And these next two sentences are basically describe sponsorship. It says, let him know you're available. So if he wishes to make a decision and tell his story, but do not insist upon it. If he prefers to consult someone else. So it's like, this is what I do. I am available. And if you want to do this, let's do it. If you don't, I've got other people who can help you out. And he may be broke, homeless. And I've sponsored many people, but I want to remind everybody, this book was written almost 100 years ago now. And now in 2025, I'm in a socialized medicine country of Canada. It's big business addiction. It's big business. So I don't need to give anybody money. We give a lot of money to addicts in Canada. It's called ODSP, Ontario Disability Assistance. And so I don't need to give any, but I'll lead them to the resources. I will lead them to the resources. And I should not deprive my family of money. Go deeper. My son is 20 years old. I don't give any of my children money. I don't give them anything. I let them be fully self-supporting. That's a tradition. Fully self-supporting is not just in a meeting. That is in your entire life. We don't just sponsor this way. We parent this way. And then perhaps you have to take a man in your home for a few days. We have so many detox centers. We have so many places, emergency beds that you can get. If you're diligent and you help your sponsee out, you will get them a bed in Canada. I don't know about other countries now. And I don't like to bring people in my home unless they're recovered. And you know me, Justin and David, I sponsor around the world. And a lot of the time I'm like, we finished the 12 steps, come visit me in Canada. And Amigo in Mexico, you took me up on that offer. And you came to Toronto and you stayed in my home and you brought your two daughters, one of whom has cancer. And to get a hotel room in Toronto, Canada is $400 a night. So that's how I provide service for people when they're recovered. If they're not recovered, I will find you a bed in a hospital. But but be sure you use discretion. Be certain that these people are welcome by your family. Nikki, go deeper. I have an old sponsee in my basement right now. His mother dropped dead in COVID. He has no family, no home to go to, really. And I told him when we were working together years ago, you always have a room in my home. He's been here for 2 months, and I've told him he's got to leave by the end of the month. Okay. So, don't let anyone overstay their welcome either. And it's reciprocal. He's helping me out. He's helping grandma out. He's fabulous. And then he's not trying to impose for anything. Again, bring the traditions in, fully self-supporting. Do not think you are going to get mother's milk off my ethereal breast for the rest of your life. You will not. I need to teach you how to take your diaper off and live free, walk a free man. Al-Anon, this is all enabling. Do not become a human aid. This is serious stuff because it says you will only harm the people you love. The best thing my mom did for me, and I've told her this, you guys, nothing. I moved out of my house at 16. I was retired at 47. I'm an independent woman and nothing can touch me because she did nothing for me. She was there for me, but she was deep in her own addiction. Next page. And I love this word too at the bottom. Insincere. I want people to be sincere position, or I don't want to be around you. 97 says you may be aiding, and this is a promise. I have it in pink. You may be aiding his destruction rather than recovery. Basically, my line out says, you're going to kill people. Don't become a log. Don't become a human aid for anybody, including your children, Nikki. And they're not your children. You're just keepers of this thing. Not my home. So radical. Anyway, I want to go down to here because I don't even know the timing. I'm just rambling because I'm high on that God dope. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. Full stop. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. Line out. You're a servant. You're a servant. This is radical stuff. You have to act a good Samaritan every day. Everyone, shove that into every orifice and turn it into a diamond. You never get a day off. And then all this stuff below, I don't want to waste a lot of time on this, but I've had people in my house drunk as a skunk. I've had to call the police, call the fire truck. I've had people not overdose in my home, but I've had a lot of stuff go down, and I'm grateful for it. Remember, everybody, my mother lives in my home forever. I took my mother in because her husband pointed a pistol at her and then turned it on himself in front of her. So we are in the family disease of alcohol, and occasionally you too will have to meet such conditions.
Thank you, Nikki, for walking through that. Some powerful examples and experience. David, how about you? What's your experience, strength, and hope? And take up from these paragraphs.
Well, this is a very powerful reading, as Nikki has said, and I just love her passion and enthusiasm for working with other people. And that has been my experience as well. I got sober in the early 90s, so we were still at the point to where we took a lot of people in. We would bring them into our homes, help them sober up, help them to detox. I do the Native American sweat lodges here in Oklahoma, and that's one of my forms of detox. I'll bring guys in. I don't burn them out, but I'll sweat them out. And, I know that there's a lot of work to do in the mind even after that, but I still practice that to this day. I detoxed both of my sons in that lodge. And today they're both 5 and 7 and 8 years of clean time. And, it's just a powerful thing. God is very powerful. Thank you for your share, Nikki. We've made a visit. Okay, I've agreed to sponsor. So now we're gonna visit again. Now, I haven't had him to read the volume through because I'm going to read the volume with him, not because I don't think he knows how to read, but he's reading with a sleepy mind. So it's better if we read together. And that's just the way it was done with me. So that's the way I do it. Now, if he says he's prepared to go through with the 12 steps of the program, we're going to start self-searching, prayer, and meditation, self-examination, prayer, and meditation, day 1. I'm going to give that a few days and see how he does with that. If he falls short of that, then we're going to have to visit because he'll probably fall short in some other areas too. So we want to get a good foundation lined up from the beginning. So, but having had this experience myself, and you can give much practical advice, and there's that word again, advice. You hear it in the rooms all the time. We don't give advice in Alcoholics Anonymous. My book says that's bullshit. If you've had this experience and you are, on solid ground spiritually, yes, you can give much practical advice as long as it's practical. I don't need to be telling you when to go to work and how to get a job and this and that. Unless, like she said, you're living with me, then yeah, damn right you're going to do that. But, and I don't do that today. I don't allow people to live in my home. And it's not because I don't want them here. It's because my wife doesn't. And I'm going to honor that. She's been burnt by some people in Alcoholics Anonymous and in our relationship through the years, mainly of my own making, but they damn well participated too. I didn't tie them up and make them do it. So she don't trust a lot. And that's her deal. I honor that. But I do sponsor a lot of men all over this country, everywhere, all over the world, actually, that have places like Hope is Alive and many sober houses and this and this. I can get you a bed within a quick minute. Had a young guy come in here not too long ago. He used to be married to my daughter, and he's deep in his addiction. He said, man, I don't know what to do. I said, would you go today? If I can get you bed, will you go today? And I don't want no bullshit. You tell me the truth. Will you go today? And he screwed up and said, yes. I made one phone call. I said, get your ass in the car. He's like, man, I ain't got my stuff. I said, no, that wasn't the deal. You said you would go. Get in the car. He's like, you're serious. And so 4 hours later, there he is. By the grace of God, he's been clean ever since from heroin and the other things that was going on. So, but let him know you're available, it says. And if he wishes to make a decision, step 3, tell his story. We usually do that in 4 and 5. But I'm not going to insist upon it if he prefers to consult someone else. It's spiritual arrogance for me to demand that anybody does this work with me. If you've got another way, if you hear someone else in a meeting that sounds better than me, go after it. Now, I used to not feel that way, but I definitely do now. I went back through the process a few years ago just to clean up some stuff that was going on in my life. And I decided to do it with a man from Boston. Shortly into it, I had heard somebody else in the meeting, and I thought, I kind of like this guy. I'm going to go with him. And so I called the old timer back and told him, and he got upset. And I pointed him to this page. I said, don't insist upon it. If I prefer to consult someone else, that's my business. And he stayed pretty upset for it for a long time, but we have since worked all of that out. And, I'm just going to go with what I feel. I'm not going to do it because I think he's too rough or too tough or any of that. It's just, something in me didn't feel he was the guy. So he may be broken, homeless, man. I've got 100,000 stories. We could talk about this all day long, man, of the people that are broken, homeless, that I've been able to help to get a job. There again, I have people that I sponsor. They have like tree services where they go around, cut down trees, clean up houses, they mow yards, they do this, they do that. I mean, I can get you a job, but you damn well better be ready to work. I give a lot to the homeless that stand out with a sign on the corners. You see them everywhere. But if you're out there dressed in nice jeans and a shirt and a pair of Nike shoes with that, you can work, same as me. I ain't giving you shit. So, it's just the way I feel. So, and I like what it says, allow him to come into your home for a few days. There's the key to that. But be sure you use discretion. This is the way it's going to be. This is what you got to do. And this is when you got to go. But I'm going to make sure that they're welcomed by my family. And if they're not, then I'm just not going to do it, and it's not because I hate them. It's because I love my family and I'm going to honor that. So, and if you try to impose on me for money and connections or shelter, I'll help you as much as I can. But that's it, because really I'm harming you more than I'm doing you any good. And that next sentence says that, permit that, and you'll only harm him. You'll make it impossible for him to be sincere about his recovery. I've had guys tell me, hey, I need to get back to work. I can't make meetings. I need to do this and I need to do that. Our book says very clear that, the material world should come last, not first. And so, but the top of 97, that's a sobering statement for me. If I do that for him, I'm aiding more in his destruction than I am in his recovery. That's a hell of a promise right there. And I've aided in a lot of destruction in people's lives. I don't want to do that no more, especially in here. But I can hide under the guise and the illusion that I'm really helping. I'm really doing this. I'm really doing that. And the whole while, I'm holding you back from doing shit for yourself. I don't like to do that anymore. That's my experience. So don't avoid it. Be sure you're doing the right thing. If you assume them, be sure. Ask your sponsor. Ask other people. Talk to people. Pray about it. There's a lot of things we can do, because really this is the foundation stone of our recovery. We know that the cornerstone is on page 47. We know that the keystone is on page 63. And then the foundation stone is right here on page 97. So the stones are there. The arch is completed. We're free. We're trying to help you to get free. But God won't do for me what I can't do for myself, and I'm not going to do for anybody what they can do for themselves. And that's just the way it is. So a kindly act once in a while isn't enough. You had to be the Good Samaritan every day. But these 3 words jump at me, if need be. Sometimes it don't need to be. I just think it does, and I run out and do all this shit. It may mean the loss of many nights' sleep, great interference with your pleasures. I've had people call me in the middle of the night, drunk as hell. This. I don't talk to people when they're drunk. I just don't. That's not a very good conversation. So call me in the morning when you're sober. If you make it through the night, holler. If you're in bad shape and you're about to die, yeah, I'm going to get up from whatever I'm doing, and I'm gonna come see you. Bring some people with me so that I'm not there just by myself. And we just do what it says here: sharing your money and your home. Consulting frantic wives. I don't really do that. That's kind of I've disqualified myself in many areas, and that's damn sure one of them. I've got friends right here on this podcast, Miss Nikki, that I can call. I've got a few other women in the lineup. I can get you some help. But it's not good for me to console or counsel a frantic wife, because my mind shift will change. And for somehow that gives me a hit of dopamine. I feel like I have power, and that's not good for me. So I stay on top of those thoughts every single day. So relatives, innumerable trips to police courts. Oh my God, we could talk forever about that. There's so many times that I've had to go to jail. I've had to go to court. I put on a suit a suit coat and a tie, and I'll go sit with my guy. Scared to death he's going to go to jail, and I tell him you might. One of the things about breaking the law is going to jail. So, but my wife may sometimes say she's neglected. Man, I've heard that a lot through the years. Over the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, she don't say that so much anymore. She knows I'm going to put that first. So these are just some things. And it's like Nikki said, the book was written a long time ago. The principles are still the same. I don't administer sedatives under, someone's direction. I might keep account of your pills as long as they're not narcotic. And, I just don't want to get into that shit. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a daddy. It's just, I'm a brother, and I want to help if I can. But, there's certain things that I'm limited to do. There's other people more qualified to do that, and I'm going to allow them to do it. Now, if you're on your deathbed and about to die, yeah, absolutely. But most times that's not the case. So send for the police. I've had to do that even at meetings, and I've had them to send them for me, because I'll have someone come in and who is very, very sick, and they're full of rage, and they're full of anger and full of energy. And my ego wants, when an altercation comes down, my ego wants to attack, man. I want to engage in that shit. I used to love to throw fists all day long, but I just don't do that anymore. I'm not there, man. It just, I want to help you, not hurt you. And if you're trying to hurt me or hurt some other people around me, then you're going to have to go for a while. You can come back, but you got to come back under different conditions. So, and occasionally we meet these. I like what it says, the fellowship is not a place I go, it's a place I live. I live there so that I can help you, and you can help me. But the conditions for me are going to work, going to court, doing whatever I need to do to help you as much as I can, but at the same time allowing you to stumble a little bit and fall, because it's only when people did that for me that I was really willing to get up and say, okay, all right, man, I see what you mean. So this is a great reading, and I'm really glad to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Nikki. I think instead of doing follow-up questions on this one, I'd like to have us share maybe one quick experience where the phone jangled in the middle of the night and we were able to be used by God in that instance to help somebody. And I'll start us off with that. And this experience that I share is with somebody that lives local here, probably half hour from my house. But a handful of years ago, my phone jangled in the middle of the night, and I picked it up, and this brother says, I'm going to kill myself. I've got a gun in my hand. I'm going to kill myself right now. And I said, hey, wait, wait, I'm driving to your house right now. And I got in my car, and it was in the era of cell phones, so I could keep him on the phone the whole time. And I got over to his house, and we sat in his living room for hours. And we were able to pray and talk things through and calm down for a little bit. And I took his gun and I kept it in my closet here in my house for about 3 years before he finally said, you know what? I'm in a place where I'm okay having that back. And I took it back to him. And I just loved being when that phone rang at like 11:30 at night. I wasn't super happy that it rang, but I'm grateful that I was able and willing and in a place where I was able to be of service. Nikki, do you have a somewhat similar experience that you'd like to share with us?
Well, my phone rings all the time because I'm the power of attorney for 3 fossils. Auntie's 95 and falls every other day. So that's an issue. But for recovery, it was an afternoon and the Toronto transit system called. I'm going to send this to you, my sister. You were drunk out of your mind. And they called. And they called the church where I belong to. And we sent her over. We had them send her in an Uber. We got her in an Uber over to the church. I walked down to the church. I brought her to my home. She was out of her mind. I had to call the police to give her the sedatives, and I begged her to go to the hospital because she's a runner. If she goes to the hospital last time, she pulled the fire alarm and wound up in jail in a blackout. And she will be getting her 2-year medallion this August. And I've watched her be reborn. And her mommy and daddy love me so much. And I love this family so much. And I'm just so grateful to be here and to watch miracles and to know that people don't have to die. You can live and you can be free. And we watch miracles. So jangle me. I may not answer, but jangle me.
Thank you, Nikki, for sharing that. David, how about you? What's one way that we can? What's an experience you've had?
Yeah, I've had a similar experience as you. Mine didn't turn out as well. In one respect, got a call in the middle of the night. There was a guy just up the street. He'd been drinking for days and days and days, and I've been checking on him pretty regular every day. But that night he said, "Same as your guy. I'm going to kill myself." And so, I got up and made the trip up there, but I got there too late. By the time I got there, brains were all over the walls and pistol land. And so his family, of course you can understand how everybody would be. And they were just frantic and crazy as hell. And so finally, working through that, fast forwarding a few days later, his niece came and said, I don't want to end up like him. And I'm dying. I'm dying from the needle. And so I took her under my arm, got her into meetings, and she too just celebrated many years now, I guess. I seen her a while back. It had been a long time, but she looked very good. She had a career now. She had a baby now. She had, so it was through his demise that she was able to rise out of her, the disease. And there's so many more that I could talk about, but that's one that really stands out because I thought that I'd failed at the time by not getting there in time to help him, but that was not the case at all. We don't get to pick who and choose who lives and dies in here. It says we try to carry this message, So, and I tried daily with him. And I bought him vodka that day. He wouldn't eat, not the day he killed himself, but the day before. He He wouldn't eat, and he had went into a withdrawal. And this is what I'm saying about if you haven't had the experience. I knew what that man was suffering on the inside. My God, fever was 100 and something degree, and he was just shaking violently, and he was dying. He wouldn't eat. They tried to give him tomatoes and orange juice, and he wouldn't eat. And they're like, "Oh my God, what can we do? What can we do?" I said, "You got to give him a drink. Don't lay him down the whole damn bottle, but give him about 4 ounces now. In a few hours, give him 4 ounces more and 4 ounces more." And that's what I meant when I said that on that last episode. If you've not had that kind of experience, sometimes you don't know what to do. Our book, and I want to clear that up because Nikki works with so many. Read this closely. I'll shut up here. Read this closely where we started today. Suppose now you're making the second visit. He's read the volume, says he goes through, prepared to go through with the 12 steps of recovery, not shaking violently and needing 4 ounces of liquor a day and shit like that. That's not what it's saying. Having had the experience of the 12 steps of the program of recovery yourself, Nikki can give much practical advice, but if that man's shaking violently and nobody's talked to her about what to do with an alcoholic like that, she probably ain't going to know because she ain't had that experience. That's what I was saying. So, yeah, this is a very deadly disease. Don't bullshit yourself into thinking, "Hey, I got this. We're okay." It will come back and it'll kick your ass. So, anyway, that's my experience. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, as we wrap this up, I'm going to go back to the last sentence we read. Occasionally, you will have to meet such conditions. If we're trudging this road of happy destiny, it doesn't mean that everything's sunshine and roses all the time. But if I keep myself in fit spiritual condition, I will be enabled to do, by power much greater than myself, to do and to serve in ways that I would never be able to do if I was not trudging this road of happy destiny with you, commencing shoulder to shoulder in this pathway of life. I think that's pretty much where I want to wrap this up, everybody. This has been powerful. It's been sobering. It's been heavy, but it's been good to consider the mantle that I take on when I take on this life of recovery, this life of practicing these principles in all my affairs. So keep coming back, everybody. Trudge this road with us. Meet these conditions as they come along. Work it. You are worth it.